Okay. Dale. Dale, you W2DRF, are you there?
Muted.
You're
Hey
muted.
guys, Dale W2DRF Bustle. Sorry I couldn't make it. Had a bad day at work, got out of work late.
All right. Next over is Mike.
Yeah, this is Mike. This is my first meeting. KE2DQQ. I'm in Candor.
Oh,
Sorry,
Candor.
I can't be there.
right.
I'm recovering from a surgery, so
Okay.
should be able to join next month in person.
Glad you could join us. Speaking of Candor, we'll move over to Jim.
Jim, KS2WJ, also in Candor. Mike, I wonder where in Candor you are.
Mike, where in Candor are you located?
I'm on West Candor Road, so a little bit outside the city.
Okay, I'm on Nago Hill.
All right.
Marty and Candor.
Okay.
Now you're missing it.
Yeah, you start your own club there. So let me just finish these introductions and then we'll get to you back there. Jason. And mute.
Again, there we go. I don't know why the pause button didn't do it, but this is Jason, KD2UDR. I live right on the town of Fenton Dickinson border.
All right. Let me see also Alan.
Alan, KB2DRI, and well.
All right. And then finally, Ron.
Yes, I'm KC2MLB, and I'm in Windsor.
All right, very good. And now in the back, we've got an announcement to make.
We have 2 new technicians. A gentleman who just upgraded to general. We also have a new member of the BE team. Some of you already know Hattie KA1M.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thanks. And you guys that just passed. You're welcome to stay and learn about BERA and our activities. Let's see here. That was WS2U, Bob Mess, and Merwin just took off. Marcy, you want to come in and introduce yourself, or Marcy? Yeah, can you just come on, introduce yourself just for the meeting?
Marcy, KD2WOW,
All right, one of our, and also in the back is Rick.
And N2K.
And N2K. All right. All right. This is one of the fullest houses we've had here in a while, so it's great to have you all here. All right, so we're going to move on to the agenda, and got lots to cover. And so we'll start up here. So we went through attendance. The secretary's report from the last meeting. Everyone that's on the BERA distribution list should have gotten the BERA fax. So any questions, or you can hit Ed over there.
Drew.
Yes.
That's the board agenda you got up. Is that what you want?
No. It says this is okay. Here a second.
Delete. Let's not.
No, it's not. Time to get your glasses fixed, I guess. Details. All right. All right. So, Mr. Treasurer, how are we doing?
We're doing good.
Glad to hear it.
$5,612.98 in the bank.
$5,612.98. All right. Now, this does not include some of the funds that we've gotten. Some people have made some additional donations.
Right.
For
yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I have one announcement to make. Bill Gottlieb donated $200.
Wow. Thank you, Phil. No pressure, just
you could be portrayed.
all right. And
one question: how much are we getting from the last
Doug's?
Doug's, yeah.
I don't have the actual number yet. It should be
about 370 or right around there.
just a little shy of $400.
Yeah. Good, thank you.
All right. Okay, and we will have a new member to vote on, but we'll get that into when we get into new business. Moving into old business, things that happened in the past here. Hey, Mark, good to see you. So back in October, we did the New York State CUSA party. And actually, Steve, if you want to jump in here, I'm going to scroll down to Steve gave me his recap by email. You want to unmute Steve and sort of clue us in?
Yeah, now I got to thank Ed for putting this all in Barra Facts, which is really, really covers all the details. Just a quick recap. It was a really great turnout, as always. Fun. People teamed up. They cooperated and collaborated and helped each other a lot. We didn't score. We weren't the top scoring group in the country, but I think if there was a category of the best and the friendliest and the most fun, and, whatever, we would win the gold award.
One that hands down, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I have no question about it. The cool thing about it, we had maybe 10 or 12 operators over the period of the day, and did well. I mean, you could see we got. I mean, this is a New York contest, so our goal is to get as many New York counties as possible. We got 41 out of 62 includes a Canadian. We did really well on that, and we did really well in working U.S. states. A rare DX, which was the PX0 Fox, it's a DXpedition, which is really cool. Yeah, I was tempted to work them under my own call, but no, it's a Barra thing. And you see the breakdown of scores thanks to Rick for the CW contribution, which were worth 2 points each. To me, if I had to single out a highlight, I would say it was Jackson. I'm sorry, Jackson, KE2DUS, and his mom Holly, KE2DUT, who made their first QSOs.
I'm going to have to update you on that.
Yes.
Actually, it turns out that was Jackson's second QSO. His first QSO was the
ISS.
the ARIS contact we did back in the summer.
So let me amend that. This was his first terrestrial contact.
Okay.
It was incredible.
We'll take that.
He got over the mic shyness like real quick, and his mom and his dad and his younger sister were there, and I think they're going to be there for the future. And I think it was it Steve AUS that was with me when we did this, and it was right towards the end of the contact. We were already like exhausted and kind of breaking down. I'm really glad they showed up. We gave them a tour and showed them around, and they really got a good feeling for it. So congrats to them on their first domestic or terrestrial QSO.
There you go. Exactly.
Real good.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I think we learned a lot. We always enjoy getting out, and I think for some people it's an opportunity to be on the receiving end of a pileup. And sometimes it's a bit daunting at first, but it becomes sort of something that, at least for me, I really enjoy being on that side of the QSO. All right.
By the way, the logs have been uploaded to Log of the World, EQSL, and QRZ.com.
Thank you. This is from Alan Luton's KC2 KLC, who was our QSL manager. So thank you for keeping us up to date with that.
Thanks, Alan.
Sure. Okay, so name badges are here. Many of them are sporting these the new name badges, and I know some of you, including some of those that are on the live stream, will arrange to get the badges for you, and badges to you. So what we might do is another order, maybe sometime in the spring as we get closer on, get on the other side of the new year here. But I think they turned out pretty well. Pretty people happy with them.
Yeah.
And I think so
here somewhere we can grab it.
Yeah, stamp fellow right there.
Yep. Yeah, so we have them in the back. So if you ordered one, we have them in the back. Or actually, no, we have them in the bag is what it is.
Bag. I can't miss the meeting, you know.
Okay. All right. We also had a Vera merch, shirts and hats and everything. And Ed, I believe we did not receive confirmation that the shirts and the everything was ready. We thought they were going to be ready for this meeting. They won't. So Ed, if you could just reach out to them and
I'll have them at the, probably the holiday party.
the holiday party, yeah.
Yeah, I can just bring them to the holiday party.
But you don't have, it's not like you have to go to the holiday party to get it. We can, if you don't make that, we'll hold on to it and arrange to get it to you, when we're ready. All right, whole business, there was the Vestal Fire Department held a Skyborne training, and I believe, Mark, you were
Yeah.
the one that inflicted that?
Absolutely, yeah, and thanks to Bob for arranging that. Yeah, how many we had? Like 20?
21.
21. I haven't gotten the slides back out to all the participants yet because we've had winter weather concerns kind of crop up.
Yeah.
I'm a little busy.
Yeah, speaking of which, what is your professional opinion on what we're going to see over the next couple of days?
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun here.
Yeah. Yeah.
As with many early season winter storms, elevation is gonna be everything on there.
Right.
I suspect that by Friday morning, if there's any school stuff going on, people in the valley are gonna be like, what, this isn't bad, not realizing that the hills just got crushed
Right.
with a bunch of wet snow. So that's what it looks like. It looks like several to many inches of wet, sloppy snow in the high terrain, not as much down low.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So, because what I may need to call because Friday night Copernic always has a public program of some sort, which I may end up deciding to postpone or otherwise, push into another time rather than have myself and the presenter here, and that's it. So, all right. Well, thank you. Appreciate getting our group trained and again, on whenever there is any kind of reasonable, inclement weather anticipated, 146.865 is where we congregate and offer observations as they're necessary. So, all right. I think that's all I have for old business, unless there's anybody else can think of anything. Okay, moving into new business. November is always when we do board and director elections. Currently, the slate of of officers and board directors are as follows. Myself, Drew Desker, KA1M for president. VPs, Ed Rusa, N2ENG has stepped down due to work commitments, and Steve Rossman, KA2YRA, has offered his services as to be vice president. Ed Kramusky, NE2W for secretary. Joe Oswald, WB2SGW for treasurer. And then directors for AB2HS, Gary, AB2GD, Rick, NN2K, and Paula, KD2SLJ. We haven't heard of anybody else wanting to step in. This is sort of the standard setup for our board. If people are fine with that, we'll just have the secretary cast one vote, and this will be the board for 2025, unless somebody would like to offer them to step in for that.
I move we accept the proposed slate of officers.
Any discussion? Second?
Fourth and fifth.
Okay.
All in favor?
I
think our constitution requires a vote.
Well, usually when it's an unopposed slate of officers, it's just the secretary provides one vote and, but okay, well, but we can still go through it. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Didn't think so. All right. All right, well, thank you. I thank the board, Ed. I thank you for your service. I know you will continue to provide services to the club, and so thank you. We look forward to another great year in 2025.
We have a round of applause for Ed. He did so much for this.
All right, Skywarn Recognition Day. We are very fortunate to have a National Weather Service office up at the Binghamton Airport, or Binghamton Airport adjacent, technically. And this is actually going to be the 25th year of Skywarn Recognition Day, where National Weather Service offices with ham radio stations are activated, and people from literally around the world, but primarily from the U.S., will try to contact it. And so we've been invited to activate WX2BGM, and the date is
Friday, December 6th
through Saturday,
December 7th, 7 p.m. to 7 p.m. So Friday night to Saturday night.
Right.
7
And the National Weather Service office is open 24 hours, 365 days a year, or 366, depending on which year you're talking about. And so we will be looking to get signups for when people would be available to get in there to operate. We are going to try and actually do an experiment by actually taking our quadplexer and actually try to run at least one other station concurrently, much like we do for any contest up here. So we'll do a test of that, and we'll make sure that we stay out of their way for the job that they do. But this way, especially, I'm sorry?
You'll be fine.
Okay, thank you. I always like telling this story. A number of years ago, my wife and I were actually operating, and we were talking actually to another NWS station up in the state of Maine. And I said, well, we're down in Binghamton, and then the person said, oh, wait a minute. And then one of the meteorologists at that National Weather Service used to be in Binghamton, and actually ended up talking to some of the meteorologists, over ham radio, just catching back up again. So it was a nice little moment. So we'll have we'll bring our laptops up for logging, so we can keep out of your hair. And again, it's nice being on the receiving side of the pilot forward.
Did you see the message I sent this afternoon? What I said,
about testing.
Since we're going to use the quadplexer,
right?
I'd strongly suggest we bring the two 710s
okay.
that we have up there, because with the noise reduction that the 710s have got, any noise reduction we can get up there, all the better.
Right. Yeah, could you turn the noise down there, Mark, a little bit? All right, yes. So our activities committee will, between now and December 6th, will arrange for a time to go up and do some testing, and so that we're ready to go on that.
So there's going to be 2 HF stations?
Right, at least 2 HF stations.
When you say at least 2, does that mean more than 2? Or?
Well, right now we'll start with 2, and I'd say let's this year let's work on 2 rather than have 5 stations and have 3 of them sit idle.
Okay.
All right.
Drew?
Yes.
A question for Mark. I'm assuming the layout is similar to how it was last year. So it would be great to have, one station in that corner, and then one maybe a little bit to the right of it, so we could spread out. It was fine when you and Leanne were in there, like cuddled together. It was a very romantic photo. But I think when Steve and I were in there, it was like, put it in here. So it'll be good. And we'll touch bases with Mark about the details and what kind of antenna or whatnot. And
yeah, Mark, one of the things we talked about was running cable over to the conference room. And anyway, we'll work something out to be able to spread it out for sure. Because that is a very, very tight situation there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
So, all right. So the schedule for that you should see by email, and we'll try to again, having even two people at an operating position where one is logging, the other is operating, and then you can swap out. Ends up being a good way to operate. All right, the technician class for the Vestal Fire Department. Bob N2EVI has said that, again, in fact, a number of the Vestal Fire Department are here and got their license at a technician class that we ran at the Vestal Station 2 down here. And there's a number of other Vestal Fire Department members that have shown interest in getting their license. So we'd like to try and do another pass sometime in the winterish, springish.
After the first of the year.
Sometime, yeah. Now we will most likely be using the ARL, not gonna say exam, but workbooks and what we can really use is somebody to sort of step forward just to be the organizer or traffic cop. We don't need you to necessarily teach anything in particular or anything at all, but it's just making sure that we've got somebody, okay, on day one, we're going to cover these topics and we've got somebody to talk about it. That we've got a way to get the, however many workbooks or whatever resources we're going to use, for the students to use. So I'd like you to just give some thought to just be willing to help us out just administratively to sort of to run that. And Ford?
Yes, I have, just to bring you up to speed, I've got a number of people that have volunteered to teach, because we're always open for more. What we usually like to do is get a number of people and they take one subject, maybe somebody's, they were more up on the rules and regs, so they do that. Somebody else is on propagation or what have you. We do that, and the more teachers we get, then the less it cuts down the workload for the rest of us. But yes, as Drew says, I hope we can get somebody that's going to take over as far as kind of running the thing as far as keeping track of the paperwork.
Right.
If we got an IT guy, knows how to run the projector or whatever PowerPoint stuff, whatever stuff we're going to do there to put a fine, because you don't want me doing it.
Right.
I'll do it. And so we need a few people there to fill in some of the gaps. And
yeah. So again, it's more just
it could be more than one person,
right,
as far as that goes. It could be a group.
So give that some thought. Yeah, Paula?
Like on the ARRL books and things, are they in charge of buying their own? Like when I got my license,
My sense would be that we would, if we end up using those resources, right, we would find out who's registered and we'd do a bulk order, and then people would then would pay us.
Okay.
It would be just at cost kind of thing.
Okay. And then what else do they need? Just paperwork for the day? Okay.
Yeah, it's
like
yeah. They'll have their workbooks, and it's just more of looking at. We're going to do this over maybe a 6-week period of time, or whatever it turns out to, and that week 1 we're going to cover,
okay, break it down.
Whatever. Yeah, so that we know who's scheduled to do. Like when it comes to the satellite stuff, okay, I'll do that one.
Okay.
And that's going to be week 3. The second hour.
Is there a time frame? Like you want it broken into like 6 weeks, 5 weeks?
I think we looked at 6 weeks.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. So,
like that.
But this is what the organizer would sort of help us figure out. How can we do it without torturing people?
We usually covered, if I remember right, we covered two chapters a Saturday.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll volunteer for that.
All right, great, thanks, Paul.
Good.
Great,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
You know, also help.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, so you're
Okay, I'm sorry? What?
Okay.
Can I
good,
help?
Good.
Sure, yeah. Well, so we'll send out an email and we'll see who's willing to step in. Bob, you have a comment?
We're saying Vestal Fire Department, we're just sponsoring it. It's just open to the public. If you have no people, bring them in, let's get more people into the hobby. So it's not just for the firemen, it's for the community.
So like Jackson Peck, that the student that did the ARIS contact was one of my summer camp students. You know, he may have some friends that might have some interest. So I'm going to let people know on through Copernic's email distribution, and you know, that's more the merrier.
It's gonna be at Station 2, right? Don?
Right.
All right, down at Station 2 in Bell Center.
Which
All right.
one is Station
We're
2?
looking at
Right here, Vestal Center.
January.
You go right by
As you're coming down 26, and you get there's the fire station that's got the LED sign in front.
What's going on at Station? Oh, Station 1 was the Skywarn.
Yes.
That's why I'm confused. Okay, it's at Station 2.
Station 2 is here in Bell Center.
26,
Yeah.
Okay.
They have
All right.
coffee back there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I think there is one new member. Okay, who is the new member?
Stanley Edwards.
Stan Edwards, and does he have a call sign?
KD2 NBC.
Oh, wow, okay. Out of Port Chester, New York. So I'm gonna guess,
He said he was a member.
said he was a member.
Yeah, he was. He lives in Dominican Republic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine.
Oh, okay, so then we don't have to vote on him because he's just basically reading.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, never mind.
New old member. Yeah, he's planning on accessing the radios remotely.
Okay. So there we go. We made that go away.
Well, you still live in Vestal.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna move this over to Bob Hamilton. Just gonna talk to us a little bit about emergency communications.
Yeah. Over the years since I've lived here, I've heard quite a few times that, oh, they don't need us anymore. We're not, we've got this beautiful new radio system here in the county, and they don't need us. We've got cell phones. They don't need us. Well, I know there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out in QST in the not too distant future about what happened in North Carolina.
Yeah, it came out today.
Did they come out today? Oh, look at that.
Yes, letter.
I haven't seen it yet. Western North Carolina, I found out through Albany and emergency management, they lost 400 cell phone towers.
Wow.
The entire western part of the state, no cell phones. They had counties with these new radio systems like we've just installed here. Lost everything. They had no 911. They had no communications to the fire departments, police departments, ambulances, anybody. Matter of fact, the only thing they had were satellite phones. We're not a dying organization when it comes to emergency management. As you can see, Vestal Fire Department has pushed very hard to get a group of hams in the department. We run the 140, help me, Ford, 47.
145-47.
145-47, and we put a second repeater down on the admin building at the university, and we're trying, when we get a little funding, to link the two of them. Okay. We put an HF station in our town EOC down at the library, because every Sunday morning, State Races comes on, and they actually come on from the watch center in Albany, where there's somebody all the time. And I'm a part of that. So we have a place in emergency management. Okay? And I push this even harder because I am the deputy director of emergency management for the town. So don't think we're not a part of this. Yeah, we don't have a hurricane and stuff, but we're going to have it. We're about to have some winter weather. And Mark and I have talked about it a little. And we've got this beautiful new radio system, and it works via internet and it works by microwave link. But what's the weakest part of that system?
Electricity.
Well, most of the tower sites have generators. The antennas. You see this big tower out here. It's going to take a lot of ice to knock that tower down. But how much ice is it going to take to fold up those antennas? We know how to make antennas. That's part of our skill set. We can put our repeaters back on the air real fast if we had to. So all I wanted to do is stand up here and say, we're not a missing link or a fading link in the emergency management system. New York State Emergency Management is pushing ham radio real hard right now. Okay, every Sunday morning, 9 o'clock. So is the state races net. So that's really what I wanted to say.
All right, thanks, Bob. I think actually, to that end, makes me think a little bit that actually sort of having maybe a session on, what should we have ready to go? Be it a go box, or have equipment ready to go so that if we need to deploy here locally, what do we need? If we ever got to a point where we're in a position, there's some major situation like again, another North Carolina or down at Puerto Rico, and you're in a position to help out, what equipment makes sense to have, ready to go. So maybe you have for those of you who have a go box, bring them up here. Let's learn from how what you did to put yours together, and so that when the situation presents itself, we're ready to go out and make that happen.
That'd be a good program.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
Ed?
There's something going on right now with this Parks on the Air. Just about every Parks on the Air person is that.
Yeah.
They go where there's no power, there's no antenna, no building, and they set up a station. And they can do that right now today.
Yep.
Right.
It's
Yeah, well,
great.
you're 3/4 of the way there, right?
That's also why we've always emphasized field day is setting up. And it's like we've always tried, if you think about it, the field days that we do here in June, they're almost always the same thing. We set up our stuff outdoors. And it's the same principle.
Another thing for us to think about is, I listen to the ARL audio news every week. It's a podcast that comes out, and they'll be, they'll talk about some emergency communication or some group that has set up, either a packet system, WinLink, or something to that effect, to be able to provide electronic message transfer beyond just voice. Is that something we may want to think about? Is that something we might be useful here, as along with just the regular voice communication piece? So I'm not saying we have to do it. I'm just saying that's something to look into. Let's see what other organizations, other areas have done with that kind of communication, and what would it take to offer that kind of service. So, all right. Well, thanks, Bob.
They have something like that today with setting up nodes or something, like we did with packet radio many years ago.
Right. Exactly. All right, let me go back to our agenda here.
Active radio X.25 protocol. We can
see.
send email all over the place.
A couple of things coming up. We talked about Skyward Recognition Day, the Bear Holiday Party. So it will be the third Wednesday in December, which will be the 18th. We will have it at the Trio Banquets and Catering on Hooper Road in Endwell. The menu is going to be roast beef with gravy, chicken marsala, fried white fish, baked ziti, mashed potatoes, seasoned green beans. We usually bring some kind of a Wegmans cake of some sort. And it sort of also acts as our meeting. Very often people will bring a +1 or +2 or whatever. Francis actually had, now in the past we would do like the 50-50 raffle, or we might have an HT raffle. But Francis, what's your call sign, Francis?
W2FJH.
W2FJH has donated to the club a DMR hotspot. So for those watching on the one, it's based on the Raspberry Pi Zero, and it's got a hat on top of it with a little 435 or 440.
It's a 2 meter.
Oh, it's 2 meter.
Yeah,
Oh,
it could be either, and it's capable of doing DMR, YSF, D-Star. But I did pick up the DMR radio kind of.
but there's also there's a DMR TYT radio, brand new, still in the wrapper, and I'll leave it that way. So that he's also donated, and I guess I'd like to propose that either we do a raffle or an auction for somebody who'd like to get that and actually sort of make that what we do at the holiday party. Again, you don't have to be there. We'll work out the arrangements. So if you're not going to go to the party, but you wanted to participate in, you know, in getting this, it's a great way to get into DMR. And again, I think like anything else, it's you get a couple of people starting to do it, and then it starts to grow. So, so anyway, I'll be working with the board to. Well, also it comes with a programming cable and even an Ethernet cable for the radio, right? Yep. So, and if anybody wants to take a look at it, we can come up during the break. All right, so more information on this will be coming soon. So the next Barra board meeting will be Wednesday, the December 4th. Again, the next Barra meeting is going to be at a trio. I'm not sure that it's going to be 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock. I'll get you that more information.
Do you have a cost for that yet?
It'll be probably $30. I'm going to try to keep it, you know, it's not a moneymaker for us. It was just we want to basically don't want to lose money on it. Right. So, like one of the things I think that they in the pricing that you get that we got included tax, but we're a nonprofit, so we should be able to take that tax off. So anyway,
You're working.
we're working on it, exactly. It's a TBD. And then down the road, well, a couple things. We've got the New York State QSO party, which is I think the last weekend in January, which I don't have up here. And then our next Doug's fish fry fundraiser. The next two are already in their book for April 17th and September 25th, and we'll be again back down at Tractor Supply. That seems to be the place to do it. The only time we've ever been skunked there where we didn't make the minimum was when they asked us to do Black Friday. And everybody was still full from turkey, I think, so they just didn't weren't into fish. All right, is there any other new business that people want to bring up? Ed?
Well, the end of January is Winter Field Day.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. There it is.
How about the ARRL Kids Day, the first weekend in January?
That might be an interesting.
We got on from the library last year in Vestal.
There you. All right.
Vestal Library for Kids Day.
I think we talked about doing it. I don't know if we actually did do it.
Yeah, I don't think it happened.
Right. So
I think that may be Marathon Hamfest Day too.
No, that's the next weekend.
Oh, it is, okay.
All right. All right, so that might be another interesting way to sort of introduce ham radio to the youth and maybe make them aware. Hey, we're going to be doing an exam session or a training session. So.
Well, it's young kids get on the air.
All right.
1 to 7 p.m.
Okay, so let me put down here.
Do it in January and again in June.
ARRL.
Kids.
Pirate? Get it off.
Take over there.
ARRL Kids
Utah.
Day.
Yeah.
It's also called Youth on the Air.
Right. All right, so that's, you said January what?
January 4th, Saturday, January 4th,
Okay.
1 to 7.
Again, whether we do it down at the library or whether we do it up here, the library has some appeal because it's sort of an easy gathering place. But we have to just make sure that we're approved to go in there and do that. So, all right. Any other new business people want to bring up? Otherwise, well, we got.
Drew, if I may,
yeah, please.
Just a thought. Hey, I really like the idea of doing it at the library because maybe able to take them on a tour of the OEM, which I think would really excite the kids.
Well, that's where the radio is anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, perfect. It would excite me. And then I just have a thought of a program that really needs somebody, if there's interest in it and maybe a need or a value, someone to step up and lead it on contesting and logging. Like as we're doing more and more contests, there's more, either at Copernic or outside. I think it's something we could do to increase our skill set, let's say, and share on that, especially the logging software.
Yep.
and contesting in general. So I'll put that out there if there's interest and someone who can mentor that.
All right, again, we'll be looking for programs for the meetings.
Another thing for the future, we were going to try to do it in the fall. But we wanted to do the anniversary for Copernic instead.
Right.
Is the Barra Antenna Day.
Yeah.
Was the idea we floated, and a lot of people really expressed interest in it. So that's just something that in the future we wanted to do, like when the weather got better.
All right, so we'll at our next board meeting, we'll start putting these ideas together. And again, if you've got any ideas of a program you'd like to see at our meeting, please send it to the W2OW email at Gmail, and we'll get that on the list. Before
Just one other quick thing.
Yeah, please.
Speaking of ham clocks, there's a lot of interest in it. A lot of people have done them in different forms, whether on their own or through Innovato. Just maybe to clear up some confusion, ham clock is still active and supported. It's Innovato, who's the company that provided the plug and play unit.
Right.
The person behind it needs to back out of that for health reasons. So ham clock, still is alive and well, and we wish the best to the and I forgot his name, to the person behind the plug and play unit. So just to clear that up.
Okay. You see, Alan, and then yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. Aside from on the air, how does the membership communicate with each other? Maybe the answer is Facebook, and I'm not on Facebook, but like there used to be a mailing list where you could, like a mail distribution list where you could send an email and it would go out to all the members, stuff. Because like, for example, I have a question, I want to know if somebody's got an old Kenwood out there. I got this microphone I need to test out.
Yeah.
How would I get that kind of thing out there to the membership?
Well, it's a good question. I think right now, I mean, other than like creating a new platform like Slack or Discord, where that's sort of it's sort of a group, a smaller group social media kind of a thing. Sending an email to W2OW email at Gmail will get us to the board, and then we can just send it back out, as opposed to the danger with the problem is if you create a distribution list that's easily accessible to outside people, then you start opening yourself up to spam.
Well, the previous email list was not open out.
No, yeah, but how would you get that?
Well, it was through Yahoo groups, and they stopped doing
Right,
that.
okay.
And now Frank has set up a thing called 73.net, which does the same thing.
Right.
So we only have about 8 Vera members signed up for it.
Actually, I know about Signal doesn't sell this, it's more private.
But this is already set up and
Yeah.
works and has all the.
And-
I've never heard
information.
about this, though. Has it been publicized?
Maybe put that in the Barra,
Yeah,
sign up,
okay.
I'm not hearing about it.
I know, Francis, you actually did a little talk about that a couple of years ago, actually, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I think we were gonna set up to do a little presentation on it, but I don't think that ever happened.
Okay.
I'll put
I
something
got a
out.
request to expedite that. It would be good if we could all be in touch with each other.
Right.
that way.
All right, so maybe we'll make that our January meeting.
There's the Bratnet on every Sunday night at 8:00
And
at
then-
6:05.
There's a Bratnet, yeah. 865.
We take questions there.
Is it 865 or 73?
865.
865, the Bratnet.
Right, but I mean, that's a very particular time you have to be available. Yeah,
Right,
I
as
really
opposed to
prefer
being
see something
asynchronous.
where we can all be in touch with each other at our leisure.
Yeah. Hey, Alan, I'm glad you brought that up because I would like if we could revisit Slack or Discord as a kind of an instant messaging platform, as opposed to email, which if you send out a group email with a question, you may get the response to you and no one else knows it. But something like Slack or Discord archives it, for a period of time. So if you put out a question, hey, I'm trying to do this or I'm looking for that, everyone can see it. They can reply to it without tying you up individually. And then it's kind of a community resource.
But those are services that you have to register with, and you may not be happy with their terms of service.
Ours already, 73.net already does all that. You can pick whether you want emails instantly every day, once a month, or no email. You can read what email's been sent.
If there's a system in place already, we should leverage that.
We already have it
Yeah.
in place.
All right, so let's again, Francis, again, maybe even if you can't be here physically, you could talk about it remotely. Actually, while we're here, we noticed a couple other people had joined since we did the initial introduction. So Mike Blake.
Yes, sir, Drew. How are you?
Mike, where do you live?
Candor, New York.
Wow.
Party.
Right next to. So it's time that I joined Vera, and Jim White just poked me at it. So I will send you the money and get the application in, and you guys can determine whether or not I'm worthy.
Yeah. All right, Bob Peterson, why don't you jump?
Yes, here I am.
Give you a call and where you're from?
KA2 EUD from Shenango Bridge, and thank you for my name tag. I got it from Teresa.
All right, very good. And let's see here, Tom Jenkins, why don't you jump in here and say hi?
Good evening, everybody. Tom, Binghamton, New York, Broome County. Thank you. W2TJ.
All right, and then Bill. This is Bill-VFC. Are you licensed and where are you located?
KB2SIN.
Oh, of course.
Fort Crane.
All right, very good. All right. Okay, so 50-50.
Okay. We got $34. I say it every month, but thank you to everybody because that's such a good fundraiser. And I agreed to kind of stay on to do it. I need to pick it up. And there's going to be a second drawing because Joe donated a $25 season pass for the Festival of Lights down there. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a one time. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, single pass, but it's $25 value. And thank you, Joe. Okay, for the $34 cash, last four numbers, 7633.
Free draw.
7633. Okay.
Hey, George. All right, very good. Just want to go.
Oh, thank you. He's donating it back. So
Oh,
that's great.
thank you. All right, and then
The second drawing for the $25 pass courtesy of Joe.
Yeah, good. But this one you can't donate back.
Last four, 7642. 7642.
I just follow.
Okay, well, there you go. Enjoy the lights.
645.
8990.
Oh, Paula says she doesn't think she's gonna use it, so we're gonna do it again. Okay, she's probably too busy, and I get that, working two jobs. Okay, now this number will hopefully be able to use it. 7637. 7637. Oh, there you go.
Oh, my God.
Okay, go again. Because he's not gonna be able to use it either. I mean, in case anybody's never been to it, it's awesome. I mean, it is really good. Can you explain what? Oxengo Park, the entire park is lit up professionally with lights. It's a drive-through. And when you go through, you can just, when you get to the end, you can just take a left and go right back through it again. And it's a single pass, but you can make a second loop through it because you, believe it or not, you'll miss things. It's really cool.
It's huge. There's only 2 million lights.
Yeah, 2 million lights. Okay, 7670. 7670.
All right, Steve.
All right, Steve.
There you go.
Okay, thanks, guys. Oh, and also, just a reminder for that Christmas party, the holiday party, it's a good time to, make your membership dues.
Right. So
Last time we made a lot of our people paid right their membership.
All right, so I've got 7:53 right now. Why don't we take 7 minutes as a bio break? What I did was I put together, I was originally going to try to do actually a presentation on hand clock that I use with my Raspberry Pi, but I'm not quite ready for prime time with that. But what I did do is I don't know if you saw the email that I sent out last week, the ISS was sending down slow scan. And what I did is I just set up the station I have here and just left it open and just let it collect images. And so I've got some images that I'd like to show you from slow scan, but just talk about slow scan in general. And including some slow scan from our balloon summer camp that we did this past summer. So we'll be back at 8 o'clock. So those on the live stream, it's time for a bio break. Time for you for a bio break, and we'll be back at 8 o'clock. I'll do a short presentation on slow scan.
Yeah. I'm not sure where we sit here. Yeah.
I assumed everyone was on the Facebook. That's where I was. I'm not. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right? It does look pretty cool.
Yeah, and so he's donating that and
That's really nice.
Gonna get more on
DMR.
On DMR, yeah. How you been?
Hey, how you been? And it's funny you mentioned the WinLink thing. I just set up a BBS like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that'll be another presentation.
There you go. It was funny because I'm like, I live in an apartment. I can't put up a permanent thing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like, there's a parking ride right down from me. And I'm like, that'd be perfect for, I don't know, truckers who are hams maybe or whoever. Like, to park there, connect to the BBS or get or WinLink or whatever, get your email.
Drew? Hey, Drew? Drew, can you hear me?
Oh, okay, yeah, hold on, let me just get the, get Zoom on here, hold on one. All right, yeah, who's looking for me?
It's got all sorts of.
Jim, he hears you. He's asking.
Oh, yeah, Jim, yeah, go ahead, Jim.
There you go. When is dues due?
Yeah, I'll shoot out an email about
When is the dues due?
Actually, I am having trouble hearing you because there's a lot of people talking.
Drew, he's asking when are the dues due?
Oh, the dues are due, always January 1st, so, you can send your dues in whenever. You know, so.
Can we vote on Mike being a member tonight?
It's at $24.
Mike Blake.
For the year.
Drew, he had another question about voting if Mike will be a member, sounded like.
Oh, when we get his application, then that's where we vote.
Yeah, I'll send it in, Jim. Don't worry. I'll talk to you later about it. Thanks.
Thanks. Thanks, Jim. Jim's audio is
My voice is real low. My voice is low because of Parkinson's.
Not for me. I've been just kind of away from the building.
Yeah, away from the building, right? Definitely not in the park.
Not in the playground.
All right, so I have a new podcast to listen to. I have a new podcast to listen to now.
Oh, yeah. But, it's only like 12, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
digestible chunk.
yeah, just, you get a little bit update. There's another longer one called Amateur Radio Newsline.
Okay.
And they're actually the ham radio stories from literally around the world. Some of which I just, I go plus 30 seconds, plus 30 seconds, plus 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, you learn about, things that are coming up. And so.
All right, here we go. Let me go in there.
Oh.
We might get a little bump of wet snow, actually.
Okay.
even tonight.
Okay,
So
well, hopefully it's all
on the
right.
backside
All
of
right,
that.
thanks so much for doing that.
I didn't know
if you want me to give that to Ed or not.
All that, I didn't know. The more interesting stuff tomorrow. Well, yeah. Yeah, I was on the road to that.
I just got a T, Tango train. Oh.
October, just. I obtained it and it actually got rid of snow leaf, right? And if you got, Google it, it will still come up, snow leaf. And, when I ran out the door on an ambulance was October, I almost went flat on my ass. Because it was sheer ice in my glasses and stuff. You can see that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
You start back in Dutchess County on the Hudson River, and it's like this. Yeah, I started getting down back towards home. Trees were plastic road. Snow. It has 11 inches of that. They have the wettest snow you've ever seen.
1 minute.
They finally got to the market.
Oh, it's right time, okay. Yeah, I took a phone call, I didn't realize what happened.
Until it was so bad to get the roads open, they took the biggest hold of snow plows they had. To get the trees out of the road, they just went smash right down. So they destroyed the trucks, but that was the only way to get them. There weren't enough chainsaws in the county. Yeah, so, that was a crazy one. The leaves were all still in the house.
And you got his, there we go. Okay. Oh, okay,
Handle traffic and do the contest. And I used the contest there, it's 64.
You pay for your.
Oh, yeah.
I get real okay. It didn't get marked out, but I'll make it that. Right.
I did some.
That's what we're at. Yeah, you actually want the special sketch. Yeah. All right, let's we'll go ahead and start. We'll talk on slow scan.
I did some true language too.
And also, for what it's worth, we back last year we got ourselves these nice Vera stickers.
Meeting started, guys.
And they're $3 each or 3 for $10. No, it's $3.50. Is it it's $3.50 each?
3 for 10.
3 for 10, and how much for one?
Yeah, I guess we were doing 350 each.
350. Anyway, so see me afterwards, and if you want one of the Bear stickers, they look great on your laptop, by the way. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about slow scan, and I am certainly not an expert in it, but I will.
Yeah. I don't want to write it right.
Get to here. Share.
Yeah. My file. It might just be.
I wouldn't be surprised. It was funny that school. Yeah, right.
So, Slow Scan TV has actually been around for a number of years. In fact, I'm doing a little bit of research on it. Some of the original Slow Scan was actually used for some of the lunar initial lunar missions, like Luna 1 and there were some other NASA missions to the moon that actually started using slow scan as being able to get images back from from the moon. But ultimately, HAM's have been using it for a number of years, and so from the initial passage of actually trying to basically take a picture of some sort and be able to send that whole information over the audio bandpass. I mean, that's the thing about slow scan is it's taking that picture and converting it to basically sound and sending it over like a 2.5 kilohertz bandwidth.
Line by line.
So that line by line, exactly. And now there are a number of different modes. By the way, I'm assuming, can everybody see everybody on Zoom? Can you see the PowerPoint? Jim, can somebody? Yep. All right, good. We'll go with that. Thanks, Jim. All right. So, and you see, depending on what version of what protocol they're using, they'll talk about you get various resolutions of like 160 pixels by 128 pixels, and they can do that in 29 seconds, or you can get 114 seconds and you have a much higher resolution, 320 by 256. And all right, so move on here. So basically, it used to be actually hardware. I remember there was a company called Robot that would actually have hardware that would interpret the slow scan. But now,
Sorry. Can I get this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I muted you.
Here's the robot.
Thanks for the demo.
Hey, Drew?
Yes.
You might mention that the original slow scan was done on CRTs with a P7 phosphor.
Right, exactly. Right. So it was its own separate piece of hardware with basically a TV screen that you would sit there and do that, or you could potentially print it out, I suppose, as well. But now what everyone is doing is, if you're doing slow scan, you're doing it with software. And most people are using Windows use some software called MMSSTV. There's also a sort of a newer version of it. I don't have it written down here that supposedly is a little more full featured, but I'll actually show you a demonstration of MMSSTV. If you've got a Mac or an iPhone, there's a company called Black Hat Systems that for a modest amount you can do your slow scan on those platforms. For Android phones, there's Droid SSTV and Robot 3. And if you're a Linux person, QSSTV. To be able to both receive it, but also, again, to transmit it. And so let me see if I can, there's my screen here. So I'm going to show you with MMSSTV, this is what it looks like. And so in this case, what you're seeing here is, this is actually a picture that they were going to transmit. So you would create your own image, you put your own call sign in, and then you choose whatever particular mode that you want to transmit in. And again, most of these softwares now can basically auto detect what mode you're sending it. Now, what I'm showing you over here is actually the audio spectrum. And now what SlowScan is doing is it's taking, it gives it sort of a sync pulse, and then you start hearing these audio tones. And depending on the frequency and how far away they are from that sync pulse, it indicates what color is at that moment. And it moves pretty quickly. So you'll see right here this 1200 hertz. This is actually the audio spectrum. This 1200 hertz is actually the sync pulse. So there's a very short sync pulse at 1200 hertz.
That takes his voice.
And then depending on what color, where you are in the scan line, it indicates, this is the audio frequency, from 1500 up through, 2300, it indicates whether it's, white, black, red, blue, whatever. And also how far they are, along that scan line.
What's the time frame of that graph that's shown? Is
This?
that like in an instant?
Yeah,
Or is that
exactly.
some-
Yeah, and I'll show you a demonstration. You'll see it as I'm painting the picture. You'll see how the spectrum changes. Now, slow scan has actually been, you'll actually hear it on HF. Predominantly, you'll hear it on 20 meters at 14,230. That's about the only place I personally have ever heard it on HF. But apparently on 40 meters and 80 meters, there are these other frequencies that are fairly standard. But again, I personally have, I've never heard them on those frequencies, but I do hear it on 14,230, and I've got my station set up to basically take that audio out of the receiver, send it into my computer, into the MMSS TV, and I can sit there and watch those images being painted. Now, there's even a 2 meter FM frequency set up, but in particular, this frequency down here, 145.8, that is the ISS downlink. That is sort of the main downlink, a 2 meter downlink from the International Space Station. And that is where the SST images that came down just last week were all on that frequency, plus or minus Doppler. So let's go here. So this was actually an image that I got about a month ago. Now, typically on the ISS, the station, they actually have a number of ham stations on the ISS. There's one in the Russian segment, and there's one on the U.S. side. Most of the slow scan that's happened from the ISS comes over on the Russian side. So they have a tendency to see mostly Russian images. But last week, they believe they did it from the American side. And this is the kind of an image you would get. So, as I said, what I did was I set up our equipment here. We have an ICOM IC910. Now, for those that have been up here, you know that we've got this like 22 element cross Yagi here. But right now it's stuck in the permanent looking up at 90 degrees. And it doesn't, because I gotta change the rotor out, which at this point won't happen until spring. But I'll be ready. I finally got the capacitors, so now we can get that done. But anyway, so I just set it up. So basically it was this high gain antenna looking straight up at the zenith. All right. I just left it on 145.8 and left my MMSS TV to just start collecting images. And it just does it automatically. So what you're seeing here, some of this noise, actually this is most likely packet. We have a packet station here, an iGate, that when it receives a packet, very often it will retransmit it back out on 144.390. And this is at I think I even have that down at 10 watts and it still creams the front end. So I'm going to show you, I just went through a series of pictures. Now this one here is most likely, you're seeing this sort of like hash, that is more dealing with poor signal. That, again, this is more dealing with the fact that I don't have my antennas aimed at the ISS as it's going by. But actually, as it turns out, this gentleman here is Frank Bauer, I forget his call sign. He is the president of Eris, and a good friend of mine, and he was the one that sort of really makes the whole Eris contact thing happen. And then this Lou McFadden works at the Johnson Space Flight Center, and so this was the first USA contact with the International Space Station.
Sure. You don't have to worry about Doppler shift at all.
So, okay, so asking, do you have to worry about Doppler shift? Depends on the frequency. For the most part, with I didn't do any Doppler shift translation at all. Because it's FM, you sort of have that general capture effect. And in actuality, if you're dealing with what they call an overhead pass, so you're getting the maximum deviation, it's maybe -4 kilohertz to +5, plus 4 kilohertz, but the receiver seems to, for the most part, pick it up. So yeah, you might get a little bit of degradation early on when it's are you familiar with why we have Doppler shift? Because this thing's traveling at 17,000 miles an hour. You will get, at 2 meters, it's about over the pass, it'll be about a 8 to 10 kilohertz shift from the center frequency. Where it really is more important is actually if you're receiving at up in the 70 centimeter band. Like there's an Eris repeater where you can transmit up on 2 meters, and you typically when you do that, you just transmit on 145, whatever the uplink 2 meter uplink is, and then the downlink. That's where you have to keep moving. That's where you might see upwards of a 25 kilohertz Doppler shift. But anyway, for the 2 meter downlink, it typically hasn't been a problem. You might catch a little bit less hash in the beginning and in the end, but for the most part, it's not too bad. So again, these images here I think are mostly packet because they're pretty sharp, across there. So this is Owen Garriott, W5LFL. He was the first ham to actually transmit, operate from the space shuttle. He actually had a small little HT, and there was an antenna system that they basically, with Velcro, fit into one of the windows of the space shuttle as it was inverted and be flying over the U.S. And he would be making contacts, from his HT, down to the U.S. And the other gentleman here, I've got to get rid of this. Let's see if I can get rid of this. I'll pick it up here. Yeah, there we go. So Sergei Samarov. I'm not sure. My guess is he was also a Russian astronaut that operated from space. I don't know that Mir actually had had a ham radio station on it. All right, moving on. Another one against more packet hash. Now this is actually Owen Garriott and his son Richard Garriott. And Richard Garriott also flew to the ISS, but he was a private citizen, and he was a software developer, and apparently became a millionaire, multimillionaire, doing some kind of a software game. And he actually bought himself a ticket on a Russian Soyuz capsule and flew up to the ISS and spent 2 weeks on the ISS and operated a bunch. Actually, when he was up there, I ended up getting some of the soul scan images that he had sent down while he was up operating there. But that's a father and son. I think, to my knowledge, they're the only father and son that have ever been up in space. So they were not both there at the same time.
Nice try.
Okay. Move on.
Nice try.
So now here's more of a situation where, again, depending on where the antennas are oriented, this to me is more just general signal fade. So sometimes it gets pretty hard to pick it out. So now I'm going to transition over to balloon flight. So Copernic has done a number of this we call Return to the Edge of Space weather balloons, where our students put together a package with a bunch of GoPro cameras, and then Gary, AB2GD, has actually built a hardware board to fit on top of a Raspberry Pi that then connects to the HDMI camera that we just hang outside the package. And every 3 or 4 minutes, it would just take a picture and then send an image back to us here. And so one of our students with Steve McEwen, he was helping wrangle the kids. And so they would actually aim the antenna, basically, they would look at where the balloon was with respect to the APRS packet, report, make sure the antenna was aimed in that direction, and would sit there and capture these images. So this was on the way up, and so Gary does a nice job. He put, K2ZRO, which was nearspace.com, the date and the time. This was soon after we launched. I think we launched right at 10 o'clock. And then as we go up further, you start getting out into the, right near the edge of space.
100,000.
We ultimately got this past flight, we got up to 98,000 feet. Some other flights we've gotten up as high as 105,000 feet. And so this is actually right near when I think right about when we just before we actually the balloon burst and start returning to the ground. But again, this black that's space, and this sort of blue line in here, that's our atmosphere. And you can see
marble. And how high is that again?
this was here about 98,000 feet, about 19 miles. All right. Now, normally with our balloon flights, the way we have it set up, we have the payload, and then there's what we call a flight line, which then has a parachute, and then above that is a radar reflector, and then above that would be the balloon. So normally what happens when the balloon bursts, the radar reflector and the parachute start coming back down, and then as you're getting, initially, the parachute is really not doing much of anything because at 100,000 feet, there's really no atmosphere. And so it's sort of free falling. But then as you start getting into thicker air, then the parachute becomes more effective and slows down. This particular flight, this last flight we had a bit of an anomaly in that when the balloon burst, it somehow managed to remove the parachute from the rest of the flight line, meaning that the balloon payload, which is the 3 GoPro cameras, Gary's slow scan, all the APRS, the spot tracker, hiking tracker that we had on board, basically fell from 98,000 feet to the ground without anything stopping it. Other than the Earth. I think we calculated it. Well, the thing is the payload was a styrofoam box. It was about a foot square by about maybe 9 inches. So it had a certain amount of drag. But I think I calculated that when it finally hit the ground, it was probably going in excess of 70 miles an hour. It basically shattered the box. However, all the cameras worked. The slow scan was still working. And
There's a little dent in it, but it's good.
yeah. So this is actually a picture on the way down. So as it was tumbling, it actually took this picture, and you can actually see that is the Susquehanna River down through here. And let's see, is that it? Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to do a demonstration. So if I go to share and I go to here. Okay, so everybody should be able to see the this is the SSTV, MMS STV software, and for those on the Zoom, be ready to grab your volume control because this is annoying. But you can actually hear what this sounds like.
It'll drop it.
Let me try that again.
Robot 36.
Oh, there we go. So if I go file, play sound, you're right. That's the sync pulse. Now you're hearing, you hear audio. Gary happens to use the Martin 1 as the protocol. Delivery, all we're doing is taking the audio to the output and just putting the microphone in of the and putting your first output that is that on the microphone. Here's that picture. No, Martin one. That's Martin one. So then when you get to the bottom, you know, you start seeing how the red and the black. There's the black is that first, and then there you go.
On the screen, it's.
Thank you. So that's what that looks like. Let me see if I can find.
I don't see anything.
Well, you didn't have it on long enough. You only had it
So,
on when the
but anyway,
text was being sent.
I don't want to, you know,
Right in
like
there.
I said, I am certainly not an expert at it, but I think, you know, even for just literally setting it up, you know, just having your receiver on the, you know, in this case, the ISS frequency, you just connected in. I just walked away. You know, I just would then go back and what's nice about this is that you can then go to the history and you can see
All the pictures, yeah.
all the, you know, all the pictures.
Cool. Very cool.
So that'll decode the audio, but you have to have the correct modes.
Right. So these are actually, this software was what we used to, for the open house. And so we were showing some of those pictures. Yeah.
For those that are interested in receiving some of these ourselves, but don't want to go through all the setup, there's actually online SDRs that you can look at. One I've used is called Kiwi SDR. And you can actually tell it, I want to listen to SS TV. It'll tell you popular frequencies, and you can select the frequency.
And so, yeah,
So I literally, while you were giving your discussion, received a couple just.
There you go. There you go.
And it also has, Kiwi SDR has a lot of cool features, but that's one of them. It
Now,
code that.
There's another mode, and that's digital slow scan television. So it takes up more bandwidth, but it also provides higher resolution images. I really don't know much about it. You know, maybe someday we might we'll transition to that for you know, for future balloon flights. But again, I think it's pretty neat to think that, you know, you can send pictures even within an audio spectrum, and you know, you can tell what's going on here. You know, and some of those other pictures, you know, that I showed you, actually. You know, on the PowerPoint, you know, you can tell that, you know, I can tell that's Owen Garriott. I can tell that's Frank Bauer, you know, so, and the MMSS TV pretty much, well, the MMSS TV software is completely free. And, the Black Hat systems, I think is modest, you know, like $5-10 or something like that. If you're into Mac, so. Any other questions? Yeah.
I think it was Echolink. Just tinkering around with it one time, and I stumbled across a net. And I'm sure if you Googled it, you could get details. There are actually nets out there, and it was a slow scan net, and it was kind of neat. They were talking to him, like, well, okay, what's the deal with that? And he said, well, we exchange pictures. And it was just like, okay, Sam, and you send it, and then it's just the whole group. Yeah. It's kind of neat. So instead of just sending verbal messages, like we do on our net, they'll chat a little bit, and they'll send a picture out. Right. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Here's my cat. Here's my dog. Whatever. You know,
yeah, it was so neat because it's all live. Yeah. I mean, it's like they're literally like, okay, ready, boom, and everybody gets their download.
And I think on HF in particular, there's actually a protocol that at the end of sending the picture, you then send your call sign in Morse code as an ID, even though, when you look at, you could, in your picture, you could certainly put your call sign there. But I think, when I've listened to slow scan on HF, always at the end of the thing, I hear just, the call sign and like 20 words a minute Morse code, and the software does it for you. So, unless there's any other questions, thanks. And cool. Any questions from the live stream at all, or are you good?
He drew a question that was great. What antennas would you recommend rather than the one just pointing straight up?
Yeah, actually, basically, I would say even just a quarter wave ground plane should be more than sufficient. Now, if you have a 2-meter preamplifier, that might help a little bit. Again, if we're talking about, are you talking about trying to get images from the ISS?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, the thing about the ISS is, the path in the sky is never the same. Sometimes it'll be directly right overhead. Other times it'll be just skirting over the horizon. So if you have an antenna that has as much of a real hemisphere with little to no lobes, up high, that's going to give you sort of better quality images. But if not, even if you get a modest preamp, that will help as well.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Anything else? Otherwise, look to email. We've got a lot to communicate. We've got Skyward Recognition Day. We've got the holiday party, and apparently we should be holding these meetings in candor just to cut down on the travel. But it's great to have you all here. And who knew Candor was such a hotbed of RF? So,
it is.
Right. Nice to meet you, Mike.
I hope that's all it is.
All right, and we'll see you. See you down the lawn.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take it easy.